What's really good, party people? I mean, what's popular, YouTube? Another day, another video. It's 2022. Imagine, 2022 years ago is where it all began, okay? And in that time, we've created iPhones, we've created computers, we've figured out how to cook Michelin star level food. We've explored the entire world, gotten off to space, but we still haven't figured out why NA hasn't won another major. So here we are, 2022, to kick it off with the first video of the year, discussing all the news, because otherwise I would end up talking about the news in each demo review that I did, and it would be all spread out, and you'd have to watch it all, and people would be asking questions. So let's consolidate. 2022 sucks. But what if you could make $2,000.22 sellyourskins.com? It's all in the title. You sell your skins to cash out of those lovely works of art in your inventory with some of the lowest fees on the market, so you can finally put a dent in those pesky student loans. It's super easy with a variety of payment methods, including cash, crypto, credit card, etc. And if you use my code LAO, you get a welcome bonus. Thank you, Sell Your Skins, for sponsoring this video and making my content possible. Link in the description below. Back to the video. It is the post-major shuffle tracker, okay, that we're looking at here on HLTV to discuss some of the roster moves that are coming in for 2022. And the best part, no bias, is that there are so many good and interesting moves for North America. Now, I know what you're thinking, Launders.
Launders, what do you mean it's all good? Team Liquid just lost Stewie. How could it be good? Stewie won a major, he won a Grand Slam. They can't do it without him. They lost Fallen. Are you crazy? It's not good. The Last Dance isn't going to do anything versus Na'Vi.
We know that, but even still, now that we've spread the talent out a little bit, let's talk about Stewie right away. Evil Geniuses confirm the Stewie 2K signing, the automatic signing, the Rush signing. The entire team now is those three, Cirque, and Breeze. And of all the NA teams right now, this is the least clear, okay, for who could potentially be the best team in North America. And I think that is an important storyline that we're going to want to discuss. Why don't we just go ahead and say, there's right now, we have Evil Geniuses, Complexity, Team Liquid. We have a mix that has Daps on it that he's calling with B Wills and Minus and a couple of other upcoming players. Then there's also another team with Stanislaw that he's calling for, which is even more random. That's an up-and-coming roster. But now we have Complexity, Team Liquid, and this is not even counting all of the Brazilian teams that may be playing in NA. E.g., the Daps team and the Stanislaw team. There's 5 rosters that all potentially have enough experience to make the whole scene better. Okay, so these are the first steps. Now, somebody said to me, well, NA is still not interesting. There's no team here that we can say will be top 5 for sure, or should be top 5. Instead, top 10 seems more likely. You know, Liquid might be the best on paper. But how much upside is there really with these rosters? And I think the point really is that the orgs are in the scene, the players are on different teams, and even though there's not as much, there's no roster that's incredibly dense like we had with Liquid and all the talent on Liquid, but now it's spread out and we've got sparring partners for each other, and we've got ways for people to find practice on their way up to invite. And there are tons of opportunities now, I feel like, to improve the scene and get more talent on these different rosters and allow for players like Minus to work their way up, or different up-and-coming players that we haven't talked about to find a slot as a 5th on one of these teams. And it's important that they're going to want roster changes, right? Because you look at Liquid, it was like, where was the way in? They picked up Fallen. Are they going to take a risk on some up-and-coming player? Would they take even a chance on Oboe? You know, it didn't seem like there was a way in to be that 5th player. So now it's very spread out. Okay, so with EG, where will they land? Well, I can't really tell. You know, I think the big question on this roster, there's a couple. Okay, there's a couple. I really believe in Breeze, and I think, you know, regardless of what's happened with him, he's a lifer. He's kind of like a ROPS. Like, he's played with EG since the beginning of the org. He's a last remaining player. He's clearly a good teammate. He's got some insane potential. He hit the top 20 last year, I believe, and which was a little bit weird. But he hit the top 20 last year. We know how good he can be. And now he's got a better team potentially than he did before. The thing is that they don't have that same level of calling presence, right? Because we have Stewie, who we know is a very competent caller and can do that, and will probably do most of it. and is just a natural leader who's going to take part. We've got Automatic, who's coming back from Valorant. So that's a lot of rust right there. That's got to be shaken off, even though we know Automatic has a peak. And Cirque, who's on the team, who a lot of people are not excited about Cirque, and I can understand it. Now, Daps went out and said, I'm most surprised that people are critical of Cirque. Of all the teammates that I've played with, Cirque was the one who was always working hard, and he was coaching EG, and he said Cirque was always putting in the effort, working hard to find new ideas and ways to play. But when you look at Cirque in the server, I think you have reasons to be questioned, right? Because he's a guy who looks like he was born to op. That's number one. He's got the movement, and it's kind of like an A-core. And I want to be careful about drawing that comparison, but he's kind of like an A-core in the sense that he's got exquisite movement, really fast, and some games looks amazing. But the consistency is not there for Cirque. Never really has been. They need an elite opper, and we have to see, who could potentially take that spot, and if Cirque can get better with this new lineup, which it's totally possible. Plus, he's still really young, and we're going to see him playing with a strong-minded player like Stewie. It might make a big difference. But will they be better than Liquid? I don't know. Liquid still have Elige and Nafly. Those two players are better than anyone on EG on paper right now. And then they got OC, who has an unbelievable amount of upside in terms of potential. Even though last year, he didn't actually play a single match on LAN. I think every single game was online. But he was kind of the simple of North America online. I think that was the best way to look at him. So EG, I don't know. I don't know where in the 3 they'll be. I don't know how high up they'll be on the rankings. I think if they got to a place between top 10 and 15, that would be a huge win. And then maybe a roster change from there. Maybe they just get better as a team from there. And of course, I forgot about Rush as well. Rush coming off of Complexity onto this lineup. This is a second chance for him. I think things didn't end well on Complexity with him, and I think he was used as just a pure support player. I don't know. I feel like I know Rush wasn't in a good place during the peak of COVID, playing on Complexity. All of the players on that team were just getting shuffled from hotel room to hotel room and didn't really, I don't know. I don't think they were happy. Okay, so a happier Rush might be a better Rush. At least I hope so. I'm excited to watch him play. I don't know. I don't see top 10 in the future with the lineup that we see, but I'm still excited to watch them play. That's a lot on EG. So why don't we talk now about Complexity? And to contrast that with EG, a team that just has so many new, inexperienced players, and that might be for the best, okay? JT is going to be leading this team. Fang is coming over from Extra Salt, as they have basically released Fang, Floppy, and JT to Complexity. And then along with them, Grim has come over from Liquid, and Junior, as he was benched on Furia, is now on the roster as well. So JT, Fang, Floppy, Grim, and Junior. This is super cool, right? Because I think Floppy has the potential to be the best player in North America. Will that happen? I don't know if that'll happen with players like Elige and Nafly and stuff like that out there. But just in terms of potential, I really see it. I think it's extraordinary how good he's gotten already since coming back from Valorant. He's always been insane. I've heard he's really easy to work with. He's the kind of player, the story I heard was like, if you tell Floppy to play a spot, he'd be like, yeah, it's easy. Just throw 2 flashes here, kill 2 guys, no problem. And you can put him anywhere. And that's like the kind of teammate everybody wants. So Floppy 1v4, Katowice on LAN versus Astralis on Cloud9, 2020. Never forget the best 1v4 of all time in CSGO history, probably. Floppy, the guy to get 2 1v5s back-to-back as a pro player in back-to-back days at Blast, okay? Have you ever seen anything like it? Never. Fang, who was MVP, I think, of FunSpark Ulti last year, even though they lost the finals versus Big in a grueling best-of-5. Fang, out of nowhere, onto Extra Salt, looking really good. There's still some inconsistency here between some of these players, but the upside is huge. Floppy's upside's huge. Fang's upside's huge. We don't even know what JT can offer. They just took a map off of Gambit on Vertigo. Gambit have lost Vertigo 6 times. Well, 7, including this loss to Complexity in the last year. It was their best map for the second best team in the world. That was a super good result. And you watch them play and you're like, you can see how much this had to do with JT. The calling was great. Maybe we'll look at that game. Grim had a hell of a CT side on that Vertigo game. And we know Grim is carrying over put a bunch of experience in his pocket as he got out the door of Liquid. And now he's back with the homies. I think Grim didn't get a lot of respect when he was on Liquid, and when they were playing without pressure, I feel like we got to see a better version of Grim, the Grim that they wanted to sign up when Liquid first picked him up, but we never saw that happen because I think it was a very toxic and brutal environment inside Liquid with so much expectation, so many egos, so many people have so many ideas and ways to win. Such a shame that had to explode basically, and we got to see when the pressure was off, they really could be that top 5 team. Oh, the end of the last year was really interesting for that reason. But finally, we've got Junior coming in from Furia, and just like with EG, Junior is my question mark for this roster. I would say JT in terms of individual level, like I don't want to see JT, because you know he can aim. I don't want to see JT end up being the IGL heel that does too many support things, that doesn't frag enough consistently, because I know he is very skilled individually, but I don't want to see it become 4 players in JT. I don't like that when you look at a roster. I always want to see, everybody kind of sharing the load in that regard. But with Junior, it wasn't a great time for him on Furia. He was super inconsistent, but him and Grim were 2 players that I thought both should have gone to Liquid when they first moved over. And you're probably wondering, Launders, we saw what Junior did up Furia. It was nothing. Why would you want to see go to Liquid? What was the point of that? Fallen better, okay? True. On paper, he was better, and Junior didn't prove anything on Furia, but that system is so different, To play with JT versus playing under Art, and to play with the roster that they had, Henny found a way to be a common patient opper on Furia and make it work. But I'm not surprised that not everyone could, okay? And the fact that Junior couldn't, I think is not surprising. But I saw in the match that they just played versus Furia, and this team is very new. I feel like there's going to be some tendencies that Junior has learned. I'm sure he's learned a lot about how to play with confidence at all times, how to make sure you take space when you can get it, and all these different ideas. But I feel like with JT and my limited scope of information, you're not going to have that much freedom to do things, and you can sacrifice really good rounds if you end up over peaking or playing a bit too strong-handedly. And I feel like with Junior, it's going to be about striking a balance between what he learned before, but also reeling it in a bit without losing his confidence. And I think Junior, super explosive. I could see why Furia wanted to test him, but I feel like he's going to play better in this roster. I really do. I really do. So I'm looking forward to Junior on this team. I'm looking forward to this team as a whole. And I guess right off the bat, I'll say I see them fitting in, confidently in second as the second best team in North America with potential to get first. EG, I'm really not sure if they could be second or first best of these lineups, but I actually think Complexity could, just because of the amount of moonshots. But that does mean a lot of things have to line up all at once. So we'll keep a close eye on Complexity, but it's great to have them with an NA org and with all of these players that are worth their weight in gold for sure. I'm sure some of them will be underpaid very soon with the level of skill we've got between them. Okay, so that is EG, Complexity, and now Liquid, which I've talked about briefly here. Team Liquid have Alige and Nafly, who are, I think they both got top 20 this year. I only had Nafly this year. I feel like he was the best North American player, but, Alige was obviously close, and he was really deep in there last year, and we know what Alige can do. Many consider him the best North American player that we've ever seen, basically. The only thing for them is that they're picking up Fallen and Stewie, they're grabbing Shocks, and they're grabbing OC. So Fallen will be replaced by OC. OC in unbelievable numbers. Like, look at these numbers from HLTV from last year. Literally the simple of North America Online. The most backhanded compliment possible. It's not his fault, though. They just didn't qualify. But every time they didn't qualify for something, it wasn't his fault. He tried to drag the team through some of these losses as hard as he could. He never really fell behind. He's an unreal talent. We know he could be good. I think this is OC's year for sure. I wouldn't be surprised if he breaks top 20. I wouldn't be surprised if all 3 of them, including Nafly, Alige, and him, break into top 20. With Shocks, that one was a little bit out of left field for me. With Shocks, I saw him get so good on Vitality. He was lurking a lot, actually, towards the end of last year on Vitality. He was finding a place doing that. He was putting up good ratings. He saved the run at the Major, him and Apex, in those first couple of games, which allowed them to get into playoffs in the first place. And I feel like all of that rested on some very fine margins. Having a full French-speaking lineup, being able to say you've played with Vitality for this long, having a team with that much cohesion, playing with an IGL you know really well, all that's out the window when he comes on to Liquid. And even though we all love Shox and we know how good he can be, it's been a long time since he's been the best player on his team. And I think that Liquid, because they were so skill heavy right before Shox and before these roster moves, it feels kind of like a weak move almost to pick up someone like Shox. But he's expressed his interest in playing Counter-Strike at a high level for as long as possible. And he's like a forest. I mean, people don't understand how good Shox was in his heyday. He's going to be able to outlast a lot of players who come in, even if those players are better than him now. He's just that quality. He's maybe the most versatile player in the history of the game. That's actually something you can give the Shox. He also has the most clutches in the history of the game, CSGO. So yeah, he's proved his worth. That's for sure. But the other one is Nitro, who's coming back from Valor. Everyone's coming back from Val. Come on, boys. You were too good at CS to leave. Come back here over towards CSGO. Nitro, we're welcoming him in. Nitro's coming into IGL. That is a tall task. After being out of the meta, learning a completely different game for all that time, that is a very, very tall task, you know? And I think what's scary a little bit with some of the players who come back is that a lot of the memories and watching some of the games over the winter season, like Nitro said, reinvigorated their love for CS and made them feel those emotions that they felt, and they weren't getting that same feeling. Daps said it, playing against the same players in Valorant that you did in CSGO, but you were better than them in CS, and now they're better than you in Valorant. Like, there was no satisfaction in winning those games. Coming back to CS allows you to really, you know, measure yourself up and your progress and feel like you're, you know, accomplishing on a more linear scale. In Valorant, I think for them, it felt strange. It felt strange. Like, they weren't the same player, the same level of respect, and the same goals. So, you know, Nitro, it's just about catching up, but it's also, I feel like, with him and Automatic, it's about seeing if they can survive the tough times and still be happy. You know, if things go badly with Liquid, if things go badly with EG, are they going to quickly run out of the motivation that they need? If motivation is important, hopefully it's not. Discipline should be everything. But is that going to make it tough to, you know, to get through the bad days? Because CSGO is a brutal game and it's getting harder every day. So that's my main concern. But if they want to come back, we welcome them in with open arms, of course. And we'll wait and see what the results show. And they're true competitors, so I'm sure they're going to put up a hell of a fight. And then the last pure NA team, I guess we can talk about just officially. The Stanislaw one is just a really random mix, but it's really great that he's in here. Just don't recognize any names besides Spermy and OG. Daps' Orgless roster. Okay, he's got Infinite, Swisher, B-Wills, and Minus. And Minus is their Moonshot. But they've also got, you know, everybody on this team has something interesting to offer, I feel like. And with Daps at the helm, to bring in some of that experience can make this lineup really good, and they can potentially get new talent on it. Hopefully they qualify to some things and get signed, but it's just very exciting on the tertiary to have these smaller lineups with just one good IGL or a couple of players that we know can carry themselves well, can carry NA well, carry that banner, show up in scrims, make other teams better, learn and, you know, qualify to some stuff, just get the scene growing again, fertilize that soil, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's what I'm looking for with all that. Furia have made a very interesting roster change. Let's change it to Brazil. I can't roll my R's. I went to Spain for a couple weeks. Oof, I had a hard time with those R's. Brazil mentioned. Furia bid farewell to Vinny. Vinny is off of Furia, the guy with the $1 million smile, the mile-wide smile, okay? Vinny, the happiest person you've ever seen. The guy you wish was with you on a rainy day. You know what I mean? Vinny, they'll always cheer you up. Vinny is off of Furia, and in place they got Safe. Now, Safe was one of the candidates on my top 20 list for 2021 that was just outside. I almost had him in a top 20, and I was thinking about it. The stats are really good. His major performance showed a lot. Safe is solid as hell. And now Furia did not want to go back with Henny, maybe because Henny wants to stick with his twin brother, which honestly is just such a curse. He's so much better than Lucas. He was incredible on Furia. It's such a shame that that ever fell apart, but it makes sense also that, you know, Furia want to move on to a different look. And I think Safe is perfect. We need to see him playing on a team like this. He needs to blow up. He is solid. Furia are going to be insane. I think Furia will be able to crack like top 6 with this lineup. Yuri, Kesaro. I just don't have any question marks, man. This lineup is super solid. I'm very much looking forward to Furia. And if we're including them in the NA conversation, I think that they will be the very best NA team. Of course, we've got Godsent that will challenge them in that front, but I still put my money on Furia personally. The Last Dance, everybody wants to know. Oh, The Last Dance. Simple was on a clip earlier where he's talking about...
Yeah, you heard about the Last Dance team? That's nice, that's nice. Man, Last Dance is coming for you, man. Last Dance is going to other world, you know? Last Dance not gonna do anything. I'm telling you right now, they're not gonna do anything against my team. They can win one game in 1 year, but nothing else. Nothing else.
Fallen, Fur, FNX, Bolt, and Vinny. Okay, The Last Dance. Maybe it's a money grab. You know, I don't know. Maybe it is really. They just want to, you know, it's a reunion. I mean, Fallen selling keyboards. He's got Fallen GA or whatever. He's got like, he's got money out the ass. You know, these guys are so rich. FNX is like going into boxing or something. I mean, you know, this can't be Vinny's last team. Probably not Bolt's last team, but it could very well be Fur, Fallen, and FNX's last team. I mean, that is the whole point, right, of a Last Dance. In my eyes, right, when I look at this roster, this team does not crack top 30. And when Simple says that about the Last Dance jokingly, because he's had some banter with Brazil recently, it's serious too. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the Last Dance literally never gets to play in a match versus Na'Vi, like qualify to something where they're in. That could be totally expected, right? Like for me, this is like looking at Fallen and Taz playing together on Honoris. It's a roster where like it would be great for the players that come in where they can teach them stuff and whatever and make some fans happy who want to just, you know, see some of the greats play together. But I'm not excited about this roster at all. And the old SK lineup and the original one on Luminosity is Fallen, Fur, FNX, Cold. I mean, this lineup and Taco, this lineup is one of my all-time favorite lineups in this game. Like, I'm still not sure. I think they might have had even more impact on the meta overall than any other lineup in the history of the game. Partly because it was earlier on in CSGO, and because even though Fnatic were super dominant, they played so off meta, no one really followed what they did as much. But man, Fallen and these guys, they did so much for this game, and they won so much. And I get that. You know, I'm a big fan of the players, but I don't want to watch my favorite players lose. You know, so we'll see if they take it seriously. I'm not super hyped about The Last Dance personally, but I understand it. I just don't get, like, you know, the old guard of Sweden going into Dignitas. I was like, oh, we'll see if they get good. Did we think they would really break like top 10 or be like that? No, right? I mean, that's the hard part. You know, that's the hard part. I'm a really new school in the sense. I like fresh blood and lots of upside potential. That's why I'm huge on complexity. But yeah, that's The Last Dance. Extra Salt released Marky, actually. Let's talk about that for a second. Marky's awesome. And I think Marky needs to find a roster. And I think there's a world where he actually makes it onto one of these teams. Maybe EG, maybe to Liquid. That seems unlikely. I feel like if that would have happened, if that could have happened, it would have. And I'm sure Extra Salt wanted to, you know, sell him to one of these rosters. But when the trio got picked up from Extra Salt just released Marky so you can look for teams with no restrictions, which is really good of Extra Salt. I think Marky, it'd be great if Marky maybe could play with Daps and we could play with the Stanislaw roster as well. I really don't know a lot about the Stanislaw roster. It's Stanislaw, Spermy, Phantom, Delta 9, and then an unknown last. And, oh, Jonji's back from Valorant to play CSGO Party Astronauts. That could be a team he goes to. That could be great as well. And oh man, there's so much news. Supposed to be the NA section, maybe. We do the NA section. This is 25 minutes of news. Okay, NA Roster Mania is complete. This is what we talked about today. Who do you think is going to land as the top team? Why? There's so much to discuss with this, and I'll try to do some demos so we can go over and watch some of the debuts and discuss what we see, our first impressions, get overly excited about, you know, really small results and really overrate all of our favorite players. But man, this could be not the year of NA, but for us in NA, a big year. A big year. I'll leave it at that. Thanks for watching. Great to be back in 2022. If you have ideas for me for different types of content and series ideas and stuff like that, I'm looking for another kind of like, you know, watch one half of a demo, talk over it type of video that I can can do throughout the year while I'm still casting a lot and pretty busy, so I can continuously upload. Yeah, apart from that, always working. As always, coming into 2022, be safe, everybody, and I'll see you in the next one.